In today's world, higher education is often marketed as the ultimate gateway to success. However, for millions of Americans, the reality of student loans paints a much darker picture. What was once seen as an investment in one's future has turned into a financial burden that continues to weigh down graduates for years, sometimes decades. With the average student now graduating with over $30,000 in debt, many are left questioning the true cost of education. On top of that, the promises of debt forgiveness programs have proven to be more illusory than helpful, often offering little relief and adding new financial challenges. In this script, we will explore why student loans are not just a financial scam but a system rigged to benefit everyone except the students. We'll also examine the flawed concept of debt forgiveness and propose alternative solutions that can genuinely help alleviate the burden of student debt for future generations. Part 1. The illusion of the American dream in America. The pursuit of higher education has long been considered a gateway to success. But in recent decades, student loans have become a financial trap for millions of Americans. What began as a system designed to help students access education has transformed into a debt-ridden system that is keeping graduates in financial bondage for decades. The government, banks, and universities have all played a part in creating this crisis, where students are promised success but are instead handed massive debt upon graduation. While education should be an investment in the future, the reality for many is that their student loans become an albatross around their necks. The rising cost of tuition, coupled with the burden of student loans, leaves many individuals struggling to make ends meet, let alone build a secure financial future. In this system, students are often sold an illusion, the idea that a degree will guarantee financial success. In truth, for many, it's the beginning of a financial nightmare. Part 2. The real costs of student loans. The average American student graduates with over $30,000 in student loan debt, a figure that can easily balloon with interest rates. However, this is only the beginning of the financial burden that follows. Students are encouraged to borrow vast amounts of money, often without fully understanding the consequences. Tuition fees continue to rise at an alarming rate, with colleges and universities increasing prices much faster than inflation or wage growth. Meanwhile, students are bombarded with marketing promises of a better life if they attend a prestigious school. The result is a vicious cycle where students rack up enormous debts for degrees that don't necessarily guarantee a job. But perhaps the biggest scam is the fact that interest rates on student loans are often higher than on mortgages or car loans, trapping borrowers in a cycle of debt that can last for decades. Instead of empowering students to build a future, student loans frequently stunt financial growth, forcing graduates to delay major life decisions like buying a home or starting a family. Part 3. The debt forgiveness fallacy. Now, let's address the popular narrative of student loan forgiveness. Politicians often promise forgiveness programs as a solution to the student loan crisis, but these programs have proven to be misleading at best and ineffective at worst. The truth is that student loan forgiveness programs are rarely as simple as they appear. For example, many forgiveness programs require borrowers to make 10, 20, or even 25 years' worth of payments before they even qualify for relief. In reality, only a small percentage of borrowers actually see any significant reduction in their debt. Many borrowers are disqualified from forgiveness due to administrative errors, complex eligibility requirements, or the shifting sands of government policy. Additionally, loan forgiveness programs often leave recipients with taxable income on the amount forgiven, creating a new financial burden. The idea of forgiving debt sounds attractive, but the reality is that these programs are more about political rhetoric than tangible relief. Part 4. The manipulation of the system. The true problem with student loans lies not just in the loans themselves, but in the system that perpetuates them. Banks, universities, and the government all benefit from the student loan system, creating a web of financial interests that keeps borrowers locked into their debt. Colleges and universities are incentivized to continue raising tuition prices because the government backs student loans, guaranteeing that they'll be paid regardless of the cost. As a result, educational institutions have little incentive to reduce tuition or provide more affordable options. The government and financial institutions also have a stake in the game. By issuing student loans with interest rates that far exceed inflation, they're profiting off of the backs of students who will likely never be able to pay off the full amount. The system is set up to benefit everyone except the students, who are left with crushing debt that often takes decades to pay off. Part 5. The myth of a better future. The primary selling point of student loans is that they lead to a better life. However, the reality is far more complex. Many students graduate with a degree but are unable to find a job that justifies the cost of their education. Underemployment is a significant problem for recent graduates, with many forced into jobs that don't require a degree at all, let alone justify the amount of money they spent on their education. Even those who do land a job in their field often find themselves struggling to pay off their loans. Student loan payments can take up a significant portion of a graduate's salary, leaving little room for savings or other financial goals. In the worst cases, students find themselves in a situation where they are working in a field unrelated to their degree and still paying off debt. The promise of a better future through education is often a myth that doesn't hold up against the realities of the student loan system. Part 6. Alternatives to the current system. The student loan system, as it stands, is unsustainable, but what are the alternatives? First and foremost, we need to focus on affordable education. Colleges and universities should focus on reducing tuition costs and finding innovative ways to provide access to higher education without the need for excessive debt. There are also increasing calls for alternative educational pathways, such as trade schools, apprenticeships, and online learning platforms. These options can provide students with valuable skills without the need for a traditional four-year degree. Another solution is to rethink the role of student loans entirely. Instead of relying on debt as the primary method of financing education, we could explore income-sharing agreements or government-backed grants that don't require students to take on debt. Ultimately, we need a complete overhaul of the current system, one that provides opportunities for all students without the need to mortgage their future. The student loan system in the United States has become a trap that keeps millions of people in a cycle of debt and financial insecurity. Promises of a better life through education have been replaced by the harsh reality of loans that many students will never be able to pay off fully. The illusion of debt forgiveness has only added to the problem, offering false hope and complicated solutions that leave borrowers in an even worse position. The system, designed to benefit banks, colleges, and the government, does little to help the students who are struggling the most. Instead of empowering students to build a future, student loans frequently hold them back from reaching their full potential. We need a complete rethink of the student loan system, focusing on affordable education and practical alternatives to borrowing. It's time to provide students with the tools they need to succeed without the burden of insurmountable debt. It's time to recognize that education should be an investment in the future, not a financial trap that holds students back for the rest of their lives.